Hello. Yay, they can hear us. Hey. Thank goodness. Thank you everyone for your patience in the silence. The silence. It's very kind of you to hang around. Good evening and good day. Hello, Noah. Hello, Suchandrika. These are exciting in-person friends, but we're all internet friends as well. Cycling Tigers read Rosalie's book. I've still got that to look forward to. Very excited. I've been reading books for work about death, which have been very interesting, but a bit less jolly. I don't think anyone's going to play the violin, which is my nibblings violin. But Martin is on the piano, which is exciting. We're in my brother's house. So just visible, there's a couple of my dad's sculptures. There's one, and there's one. These are pretty old pieces from his filling a condom full of gelatine era and then carving it into a kind of blurry, abstract face. Hello, Swaith. Hello. It's Rosalie, good morning. It's so lovely for you to join us. And Ambrose, Susan, I'm just reading names, but what we come for is some dictionary stuff to start us off, as is tradition on our live streams, because if you haven't been to one before, patrons and I have been hanging out on these for a year, not a continuous year. We take some time off for sleep and hygiene. But each time I read from a dictionary. This time it's from my brother's bookshelves, and it is an illustrated Encyclopaedia of Traditional Symbols. Price tag still on it, $8.95 in the UK only. Sophie, what my brother's residence has even more of is sort of Victorian pub games. So my laptop is resting on this like bagatelle board thing, sort of like little snooker. Does a lot of eBay shopping. It's a sickness of sorts. Okay, so let's have a look at the symbols. Any requests? Okay, round table. The circle of the table is that of the heavens, of perfection, wholeness, totality, and a cosmic center. The Grail is the mystic center. The 12 knights represent the signs of the zodiac, and the radii of the circle depict equality. None is the last. That's nice. In Christian symbolism of the round table, the seat perilous is equated with that which was occupied by Judas Iscariot at the Last Supper. In Hindu symbolism, the table or wheel is divided into 12 segments, the 12 months of the year, which correspond to the 12 adityas, the shining ones. That's nice. Oh, rotundity. That speaks to me. As depicted in figures of Siva, Hote, and the Laughing Buddha, it represents attainment, high standing, importance. The rotundity of the Chinese god of wealth and the Hindu Ganesha depicts gluttony and therefore prosperity. Do you have to update some of the language when you read out things? Swaith, we're all symbols of rotundity together. I mean, not all of us. Like some of us are some people here, I assume, are different polygons, but not me. Oh yeah, Steve, that was my dad's biggest sculpture, the one that is outside Northampton Rugby Stadium. In fact, one of his only ones that he was actually paid to make. But it is exciting when we see it pop up before the rugby. They're not my favourites, the rugby ones. They're a bit more literal than the ones that are my favourites. But it cheered him up after a difficult 3 decades of not getting paid. Andy likes cricket, Richie. Are you sure? I don't know what gave it away. Now I'm proud to be on Team Rotundity with you. Hello, Mayan. Are donut holes baked symbols of rotundity? They're certainly very rotund, and I find them so existentially confusing because of the hole shouldn't have a presence. Is this the plotline of Everything Everywhere All at Once? The bagel hole. Yeah, rotundity is the world, but all are welcome. If you're not rotund in body, but you are rotund in spirit, it's all right. All body shapes are welcome. Cylinders, trapezoids, the presence of absence. Hello, Tanchira. Are you still in Australia? Have you had an okay time? Martin, I neglected to send him the new link to the video, the one that now works. Isn't that exciting? Do apologise. Do apologise for the inexplicable technical difficulties. On the show's birthday too. You know, eight-year-olds are supposed to be competent at technology, right? I don't know what kind of creature the show is, though. If it's dog years, it's starting to slow down, get grey on the chin. If it's human years, it's just got through the jerk phase and it's now a pleasant couple of years before the preteens. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Denise, if you could post the new link, that would be really helpful. Also, thank you for the reminder. Why am I not competent today? I'll tell you why, because I'm a bit sleepy. Because we went to our friend Sam and Louise's and watched Peter Ustinov Poirot, directed by Michael Winner. And
he doesn't seem much like his name reflects what he's like as a human being.
But
seems like a real loser, is what I'm saying.
Whoa! I mean, he was a winner at life because he got to be a restaurant critic and spend a lot of time in Barbados, just sort of Michael Winnering around.
Like a real creep and a not very good director.
But it felt longer than it was, as films go.
I tend to enjoy these more than you do. You're very exacting about your Poirots.
It's got Lauren Bacall in it.
You were even quite critical of the Kenneth Branagh adaptations of Poirot.
I think it's reasonable to be critical of Ken Poirot. Matty, I read today that the brownies are being renamed the Embers, and I don't know whether that's everywhere or just in one place. Thank you, Rosalie, for posting the link. Thank you, Denise, for reminding me. Poirot probably did go to Barbados at some point, Richie. If there was a crime of the rich, he would have just popped up there. Just manages it.
I don't think he likes to travel that much. I mean, he seems to travel within Europe. No, that's not true. He goes to the Middle East and Africa, doesn't
he? He mentioned going to Burma because he was friends with John Gielgud in this adaptation, and he talked about.
No. But I think that was when he was like in the service, wasn't it?
When was Poirot in the? He was in the Belgian police, anyway.
Well, but he goes to Rio for one episode, doesn't he?
He goes to Buenos Aires and he falls in love with Anna Chancellor, aka Duckface from Four Weddings and a Funeral. And who wouldn't fall in love with her? And then she gives him like this little lapel vase that he wears in all of the ITV adaptations.
No, that was from his love in Belgium.
Oh, what, the Jewel Thief?
No, not the Jewel
Oh, sorry,
Thief.
I'm getting all muddled up. He goes to Belgium.
This is not canon.
He falls in love with Anna Chancellor in Belgium. He goes to Buenos Aires for a different thing.
Yeah.
I said I'm tired.
He just fall in love with the Jewel Thief.
Yeah, Ambrose, I remember the moustache backstory war film. Nancy Friedman.
We're watching it.
Isn't it exciting? Nancy's here, Martin. Nancy, alum of the show. Please come back anytime, Nancy. It's always a joy to have you on. Nancy Friedman is the branding expert who we talked about meat foods and, meatless meat foods and things like that. And I can't remember if we brought it up at the time, Nancy, but I think about it quite a lot because people are still like angry, and the British government sometimes is like, you've got to legislate against burgers, blah, 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 blah. And I was thinking, why are people so comfortable with calling things teas that don't have any tea in? Square that circle. Hello, Mark Locker. Okay, Martin, you can ask a question. Sorry to...
It's not even a question. It's just a statement. I had a very nice sandwich.
Mm-hmm. What kind?
Just the day before, made with a meat substitute, which is intended to look like roast, have the texture and approximate flavour of roast beef.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good meat substitute. It's called Beast. So I could tell my my nephew that I was having Beast sandwiches for lunch. He seemed very impressed.
Oh no, a tea storm. Praise no tea. I'm glad you can hear us now. I'm sorry about the previous one. Martin's been very pleased with his Beast meat.
Lovely. Highly recommend it. I'm not a brand ambassador for Beast.
But you would be if anyone offered.
If anyone is affiliated with Beast, get in touch in the chat.
We're all looking quite green on this stream. The walls, the shirt. Although this.
Oh yeah, I've got this sort of green. This is
This is a new jumper, and I put it on the other day, and for the first time, and Martin said, "What did you say my style was like, Martin?"
I said you've got a really good look. I called it Cyber Clown, which was intended to be a compliment. Stand up a bit because you can see the. Yeah.
You can see the cyber clown hood.
Just see the bit more of it. I like to play on the internet.
Why do you keep referencing an album track from Lolly's first album in 1999, Martin?
Used to sing it all the time.
I have never sung it, actually.
That's not true.
You used to sing it.
I've never heard it.
Very oblique man.
Anyway,
He's proud of his beast meat.
lovely
Oh,
beast meat.
can't label milkless milks in Germany milk. My Anne will have tea in Boston someday. You know it. I'm also doing some horrible knitting. You'd be very ashamed to know me. It's very sad. Nancy loves beast.
I can't tell if she means she loves the name or she loves the product.
Kate,
but I guess if you're in the branding business, the two can blend into one if you really enjoy the name.
Kate, these are English walls in London. I'm in my brother's house at the moment. There's quite a lot of sports bollocks around. I don't know if you get that amount of cricket in Canadian places or as many Zach Saltzman early works. What else do we have to show you? There's a lot of stuff in this. There's a lot of stuff in this room, but nothing to outre. How are you all, and what have you been doing this weekend? Cyberclown's a compliment, thank you. Have I tried to milk a nut? Gordon, that's a very personal question. Hello to the whole Lang family. Noah, did you do Dickens Fair this last Christmas? The jumper is from a company called Palaver, and they're having a sale at the moment. But I would recommend sizing up. This is small. Matty has been sleeping. Good for you. Nice. What did we do? Oh, we went to Sam and Louise's and watched the Disappointing Is Not Poirot.
Oh, that was okay.
And before that, I was hanging out with my mum.
Yeah, there's like bits in you see in also Lake Career or someone's wine adverts where someone says something to him and he just sort of goes, like there's a lot of Peter Ustinov doing that, and I don't think he was drunk. I think that was just like the characterization he was going for, and it's really fun.
What was the word that he kept saying in a very weird way?
Dose. Poison.
My nibblings made me watch Death in Paradise last night, which I'd never seen before. And it wasn't good, but I will compliment it for the complete lack of misdirection. Everything that you think is going to happen is happening. So if it, in something else, the investigators would always get everything wrong until the final act, right? So in this one, they sniffed a cup and they were like, oh, smells of cyanide. And then shortly after, they confirmed that the murder victim had died of cyanide poisoning. And then later they see someone digging something up suspiciously that they think is a dead body. It is a dead body. It's not like, oh, I was just digging a ditch for the irrigation. And, you know, that does take the stress out of things. Oh, gosh, Kari, the rain that you've been having in California. Trish has been to the dispensary. Haley's put up a fence and now there's a gale. Martin and I... was it you? We went to the Slazenger house outside Dublin, or did I go with Alex?
I think I went with a different husband.
It's a grand house just outside of Dublin. And one day they put up new curtains, and that night it was a massive house fire. And the curtains burned.
That night? That you went?
No, the night after they put up the new curtains.
That was a different night.
All I remember about this house, the sadness of going to the effort of putting up new curtains and then everything burning down. Good morning, Susan. Thank you for joining us. Fritz Sixify, sorry about your sunburn. Man's been watching Cutthroat Kitchen. A good fun show.
I quite like Cutthroat Kitchen. I like how it forces like good chefs to like improvise, but when they're having to like cut vegetables with a plastic spoon on a teeter-totter. I feel like that's really interesting. Is it the one where they have the weird foodstuffs where it's like, make the most delicious thing you can out of a can of cheese spray and this bit of fluff?
I think you're thinking of Chopped.
Oh, is that Chopped? Oh, I don't like Chopped, because that guy didn't like the red onion.
We started watching
pull me off it.
The old Iron Chefs. They were dubbed from Japanese.
The dubbing is fun.
The dubbing's fun, but it was also striking how food presentation has changed a lot since the original Iron Chefs, which are from the 90s, I think. And the main fanciness is when they encircle the food with just broccoli florets. That's the flair.
I said, did do many savoury mousses.
Savoury mousses. Oh, wow, that was a very posh thing in the 90s, wasn't it? Dog nose smear on your lens, cycling tiger. That sounds like when they used to put Vaseline on the lenses in old Hollywood to make people look sort of young and wrinkle-free and everything. Chelsea has taken the ornaments off the Yule tree. And I can put what are the festivities of mid-January? not well up on it. When St. Swithin's Day. Hello, Whizzer. Welcome very much. Which 3 of your back catalogue of podcasts would you recommend as an introduction to the Illusionist? Oh gosh, I think maybe that is a question for the chat.
Ooh.
Which 3? I'm imagining there's not a consensus, so everyone just suggest one.
What are your favourites?
I mean, I hate everything equally.
I can only think of ones that I've had significant contributions to, because those are the ones that come straight to mind.
Best ones.
Not because they're the best ones. I don't think they are the best ones, but they're like Grunge Hoax and Eclipse. I got to do lots of music on, and I really enjoyed.
I always forget about the Grunge Hoax, but that one is really fun.
Whenever you think of it, you're like, "Oh, that was really good." And
you did a lovely job.
I feel really
lovely job.
Proud that you're not going to.
Sway savoury mousse is not quite as disgusting as Aspic Foods, but it is about as unsatisfactory as them, but less decorative. Whoa, I have not had Brianne Hughes on the show, Nancy, but that sounds interesting. It's MLK Jr. Day on Monday in the US. Okay, so put your MLK Jr. tree ornaments up. Someone worth celebrating. Whizzer, if you like swearing, I think Take a Swear Pill is a good fun episode.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also very useful because it's one when people don't like swearing, you can be like, well, actually, and we all like to be that smug arsehole, don't we? The well, actually one. Eclipse. Yeah, Eclipse. I mean, Martin recorded the Eclipse piano music on this actual piano.
This piano, despite getting it tuned just before we did that episode, which it hadn't been tuned for probably 30 or 40 years, it is 3/4 of a tone flat, which if it was half a tone flat or a tone flat, it'd be quite easy to sync up with other instruments. But as it is, I had to like pitch shift every other instrument to make it in tune with this piano.
So everything is in tune with itself, but out of tune with the world. Georgianne is visiting their mum in Antigua. Ooh. Oh, thank you very much for joining us back in the grey old London. Hello, Victoria Redfern. It's so nice of you to join us. Thank you for the St. Swithin's Day information. I need to keep up more on my days. WPM, Dan, I'm glad you like that one. That is a fun live piece that I'm not sure the fun of it quite comes across in the recording just because things sound a bit distant. My brother's family have just turned up, so there might be some invasions, some screen invasions. But I hope not.
I'm going to barricade.
Natalie, I'm glad that the show has brought you joy, and the Discord community. Those things brought me joy too. Any particular Applem's one that Whizzer should try? We've given Whizzer more than 3, but it really depends on what Whizzer's taste is. I mean, I love the Fiona ones that just came out. I think those are some of the best I've made, but maybe you need to build up to that. Yeah, I think Illusionist people are the best people. Good for you. You've made me better people, or one person. Zoltor is in the vicinity, Tanchira, the very one. Gordon, Andy's house is almost exactly as you've imagined.
It's a really nice house.
It's a very nice house.
It's so nice we lived here for 13 months.
Yeah, and basically for the last month as well. They're very nice in sharing their nice house. I'm not sure that this is a representative sample because I will say there's more chaos.
More cricket bats.
Outshot, and more cricket bats that have been signed by. I think maybe this one belonged to an ancestor of ours, a great grandfather or something. And those are some trophy cricket balls. And our grandfather made a special stand for it. I probably should remember, but I don't. Oh, but someone was telling me about a fighter pilot. Maybe that was our granddad's brother or our granddad's father. And my other brother Rick has his pilot logs, and it seems like he was quite a shit pilot, unless he was just logging things. It's like, oops, crashed again. So they didn't send him into missions that he would have almost certainly been killed doing.
It's roughly the plot of Catch-22, isn't it? A plot point.
Oh, Wizz's got some recommendations. Rosalie, Harry, Josephine, Giles is a wonderful person to offer them their brains to the Illusionists.
These recent Fiona episodes seem really interesting.
Yeah.
Did I do like a script read?
You had a script read on both of them, I think, because I just wanted to make sure that they were.
They're great.
Don't take the credit. People are always giving you the credit.
Well, I don't. If people don't know, I don't do very much on the Illusionist. I write music that features in the Illusionist. I don't very often write music specifically for the Illusionist, and I don't do very much on it. It's 99.9% Helen. Apart from live, if you come to see us live, I'll be.
Oh, you're a treat live. Tanchira, is this the cricket room? They're all cricket rooms. Except for
It's the cricket house.
except for the toilet, which is the vintage Olympics room, because the walls are covered in Olympics posters.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Salads is Laura's Tranquillusion. No title, Sophie. I think was a big achievement. Yes.
Oh, I like the Imagine episode we did, the Tranquillusionist, where we rearranged the words and the chords of Imagine by John Lennon in alphabetical order. Or was it reverse alphabetical order? You did the
reverse alphabetical order because I thought it ordered more satisfyingly that way.
So I think the chords are in alphabetical and the lyrics are in reverse alphabetical. They kind of cross over at some.
The toilet has Olympics posters, Rosalie. Maybe I'll send you a picture. I promised you a live Tranquillusionist though.
Oh,
it's so fun to chat because you are super delightful people. But I did promise, and so if you want to start or end the day feeling kind of serenely bored, this is what we're doing. Because sometimes I get some quite pissy comments after I release a Tranquillusionist because someone doesn't realise that they're meant to be emotionally anti-eventful. So I just want people to feel good about it. Rosalie has a lot of questions about the toilet. You fundamentally get the purpose of toilets though, right? We don't have to start with that. You're already across that.
In the toilet, really love it.
Okay, no, I was saying stick to my tranquil guns. That does sound tranquil anyway. So I've got this book that I must have bought Andy at some point as a gag gift many years ago. And it's priced in the handwriting of my old boss Sabrina at the antiquarian bookshop that I used to work at in our hometown in Tunbridge Wells in the late 90s. So I must have got it for him then. And somehow he's not thrown it away, but I guess throwing things away is not really Andy's vibe. And it's called Through England on My Knees, a Brass Rubbing Odyssey. And I think it is a book aimed at Americans who might be curious about the British smell of brass rubbing and not know very much about it. So I'm just going to read you what it's all about. So brass rubbing. This book is by Betsey Lewis, keen brass rubber. Amazing to get a book deal about brass rubbing, I think. There's Betsey Lewis. A peculiar tarry smell mingled with the scent of old wood, musty carpets and fresh flowers. The stillness of the old Norman church was broken by an odd, rattling, gnawing sound. Rats? No, brass rubbers. Soon, I too was down on my knees in front of the altar. I was not praying. I was rubbing my first brass. The objects that people rub are called monumental brasses, not because of their size or importance, but because they are memorials. Grave effigies, as my husband reminds me in tones of muted disgust. Large plates of brass have been engraved with effigies of prominent people set into stone and placed on the floor or wall of the church. Here is a illustration the book provides. They range in size from a few inches to over 15 feet. When one places a piece of white paper over the brass and rubs with a hard black wax, the surface area turns black and the indented lines remain white. The minutest detail, including unwanted surface scratches, shows up in the rubbing. I rubbed my first brass at Siren Sister. I just plunged in without any instruction at all. I had never even seen anyone rubbing a brass. My mentors assured me it was very easy and it didn't matter which way I rubbed. I took them literally. My first rubbing looked like a child's first attempt at a colouring book. But all I did was rub, and the fine lines in the faces and folds in the drapery began to emerge. It seemed like some kind of magic. As the morning wore on, I improved, and through experience and advice from other brass rubbers, I became competent. Because, practice makes competence. People rub brasses for various reasons: for fun, for study, for money. Most begin because of the pretty pictures. They make excellent souvenirs to take home to parents and friends or to hang on the living room wall. Rubbing brasses is very much like picking wildflowers. You pick one as a specimen, then more and more until your hands are full. Brass rubbing can be addictive and dangerous to your pocketbook. That's how you can tell this is a book aimed at the American market, the word pocketbook. So I have done brass rubbing because when I was a child, there was a brass rubbing centre in my hometown of Tunbridge Wells, and that was some pretty hot shit to get to go to the brass rubbing centre. And then at some point in the 90s, it got changed into a nightclub. Can you fucking believe? They took our joy away and replaced it with somewhere that people actually wanted to go. Oh, it looks like we got some experienced rubbers in the crowd. We've got some brass rubbers, some leaf peepers. So, all right. I'm going to skip a lot of the book, because then a lot of the book is just a guide to brasses you can rub. But towards the end, it gets a little more kind of broader in scope. So chapter 14 is called Down on Your Knees. I wonder if Betsey Lewis was being suggestive deliberately. What year is this book? And how likely was it that people were making cheeky knees jokes? There's no date in this book. When did they start putting publication dates in books? Evidently after this. So it's got an ISBN, so it's post ISBN. All right. He's playing a bit of Eclipse, isn't he? But for the brass rubbing. No, you're not rubbing random brass things, Swandra, but you can go to a church, presumably with permission, and put your paper over the brass monument thing and then rub your crayon on it. But at the Brass Rubbing Centre, they had fiberglass replicas of some of those famous church brasses. I don't know what became of any of my brass rubbings, because there's not a lot of skill to it, honestly. Yeah, rubbing. You were a grave rubber in high school for your historical society, B. That's very exciting. That is exciting. I think graves would be quite interesting things to rub because of the different texts. Okay, a few of you have done gravestone rubbings. Why is everything so suggestive, Dan? That's language, isn't it? It's a cheeky instrument. Okay, when I tell people I went to England to rub brasses, many think I was over there polishing candlesticks. It is easy to explain an elm tree to a culturally appropriative term for Inuit, not culturally appropriative, culturally insensitive is what I would say, as to explain brass rubbing to an American who has never seen a monumental brass. How do you even live? Americans who've never seen a monumental brass. 1977, thank you, Richie. Got to have a date for the book, you're very kind. The common analogy that it is like rubbing a penny with a pencil is hardly adequate. A description of large plates of brass, some as long as 15 feet, leaves them bewildered. I introduced my friend Judy to rubbing by having her do a small Victorian door plate, but it was not till she got to England and saw her first brass that she became really excited. Then it's got some information about where you can go to get your brass rubbing supplies in Kensington in London and what you need, what weight of paper, 70 grams per square metre, but blah, 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 blah. And then you need cardboard tubes to keep your rubbings in and a plastic case. I mean, there's a lot. A heel ball for rubbing. Make some deep cuts. Okay. Now you are equipped, it is time to start rubbing. Well, almost. The first thing to do is find the brass. This is not always easy and can lead to all sorts of adventures. The first method is to drive through the countryside until you find an old Norman church characterized by flint construction, square tower, nave and sanctuary. You go inside, roll back the rugs very carefully, and lie on the floor to look under the pews, inspect the wall, and if you find anything, go search for the vicar. Can you imagine being interrupted in your vicar work by someone who is like, is it okay if I rub a brass with a crayon? Sophie, I think that there's a certain deliberate wryness to the book, but I think she takes the brass rubbing seriously, and she wants other people to get the same joy she does. Then she's talking about going to ask local librarians for a good brass to rub. I know there's some librarians in the Allusionist. Do you get asked that a lot? I would love to know. Before getting permission, one should look at the brass to be sure he really wants to rub it. It may be badly worn, too big, have pieces missing, or be too much like one he has already rubbed. To a scholar, these considerations are not important. In fact, they may be just what he is looking for. A tourist on a 3-week vacation usually wants a pretty picture to hang on the wall or to give to Aunt Mary for Christmas. The vicar, once you find him, will be very glad to see you. He charges a fee. This may range from 50p to £4. That's $10 in 1977 conversion. The fee may cover a rubbing session, 2 to 4 hours, or a single brass. The size of the fee has little to do with the size or quality of the brass. They charge what the traffic will bear. A church with a popular brass does not have to worry about the collection plate on Sunday morning. I wonder what happened to the brass rubbing economy if churches are still making all those $10 out of it. Yeah, 2 to 4 hours. That brass can be begging for mercy at the end. He may give you a set of rules. Wait, have I missed a bit? The vicars are a charming lot. If asked, one will give you the history of the brass, the church, or even the town, including his own family history. He may give you a set of rules. As a visitor to a foreign country, you must be doubly careful to obey these rules. You may be asked to sign a paper assuring them that you will not sell the rubbing. For Americans, this is a matter of personal honor. No one is going to check. However, I hope your conscience is strong. You know, if you cheat brass rubbing wise, then those medieval knights are just going to be staring down from the wall very disapprovingly, and you're never going to be able to forget that. I imagine bronze rubbing as a relative of brass rubbing. It's a sort of fancier cousin. So sorry, Tanchera, to pollute your Tranquillusionist with this suggestion of brass rubbing book. If you're refused rubbing permission for reasons that seem totally unreasonable to you, don't argue and don't get angry. Accept it graciously. At all times, remember that you're in a church and should respect the sanctity of a holy place. Remove your shoes. Do not picnic on the altar. Do not step on the brass. Do not use altar pieces as weights. Clean up after yourself, taking all bits of masking tape and paper with you. There's seldom a wastebasket handy. Gauge your time so that you'll be through in time for a service or the next rubber. Do not run, skip, or jump. Begin by dusting off the brass. This is very important. The tiniest speck of dirt will make a 3-cornered tear in the paper. What is more, rubbing over dirt will damage the brass. Now is the time to note any protruding corners, rivets, deep cracks, or holes that might tear your paper while rubbing. You might need someone to help you put the paper down. Some paper fastening advice. At last, you are ready to rub. You can start anywhere. There is disagreement among connoisseurs as to whether a rubbing should be jet black or grey. I belong to the grey school myself. I like the stony texture of a not-so-dark rubbing. It's easier to sometimes emphasise the animal or a detail of a costume by making it darker than the rest of the rubbing. I could not do that if I was making it as dark as possible throughout. When you get home, you can fill in unsightly holes and cracks in your own rubbings by placing the paper over a mirror or other hard, smooth surface and rubbing with a heel ball, but don't get carried away. These flaws are as much a part of the brass as scratches on an antique table. That's a good question, Ben. Why are the instructions at the end of the book after she's told you where to find the brasses? I would front load it as well. Yeah, no picnics near the brasses. Magenta crayon would be melted immediately by the Lord. Well, we're getting to what you do with the brass rubbings very soon. Some rubbers polish their final product with a nylon stocking to bring out the shine and to erase crayon marks. Again, a dissenter. I prefer a dull rubbing. Okay, so what do you do when you are through? This is getting to a question, Swanderer, about what you do with them. Now that you have all these rubbings, what are you going to do with them? I piled mine under the bed for a while, but they got in the way when I had to clean. Most rubbers don't have any problem at all. A typical response is, I gave most of mine away. The ones that were hanging in the dorm got destroyed. My father took the last one for his office. However, you are bound to have at least one left, and you will probably want to display it. So frame it, they suggest. Yeah, you could frame the nylons as well. The author's friend Colette frames them herself. Things you can mount them on. Glue is a problem. Glue chat. Poster hangers. That gets you out the glue chat. Unless you have 10-foot ceilings and lots of wall space, many of your rubbings will be spending most of the time in storage. If you have only a few rubbings, keep them in the tube you used while you were rubbing. You remember the tube from the bit I skipped in the first chapter. How is this book so long? Some of it is maps. There's quite a lot of it is pictures of brasses rubbed. Betsey makes her own cardboard tubes for storage. by attaching 2 paper towel rolls to 2 toilet paper rolls with masking tape. Let's see. Just talking about what happens if you go back, if you get addicted to it and you return to the same brasses, you want to label them. Institutions love them. Brass rubbings make lovely patterns for embroidery, whether large tapestries or small pillows. Let me know if you find that to be the case. Their uses in decoupage are endless. Just be sure to use a lacquer that will not dissolve the wax. Whatever you do with them, you will find your rubbings a lasting memento of a friendly, pleasant land. Does she mean Britain? I mean, it's in the title that she's been to England. I think friendly, pleasant land really depends on a lot of factors. Who the brass rubber is, being chief among them, because it will not have escaped your attention that certain factions of Britain are quite hostile to people coming over here and rubbing our brasses. Some Americans become so fond of rubbing that they're constantly looking for suitable substitutes for brasses when they get home. Trees, trays, manhole covers, carved chair backs, door plates, pewter boxes, and gravestones, of course. It's hard to find brasses, but they do exist, ornamental, not monumental ones. Some in Boston Public Library. Some have been taken over there. Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. You're not gonna pop in there and get away with it. But there are brass rubbing centres in Boylston Street in Boston. Mayanne, can you confirm? Another in Oregon. If you look around, you can keep your practice until you have your trip to England, and that is basically the end. And then it's just the maps. God, I do feel like we've been on a big brass rubbing journey. How is everyone? You off just gathering your crayons, ready to rub? Sarah has confirmed the Boston brass rubbings always rub the plaque with consent. Yeah, we're having a very mature time. And to be fair, it's thematically linked to the most recent episode because the interviewee did talk about rubbing a bit. Is the Liberty Bell made of brass? What was Martin playing? Asks Joanna. Was it an improvisation?
Yeah. Well, first I did a bit of Eclipse, which is based loosely around some of the chords of Total Eclipse of the Heart, but with the G missed out, which is the root. And then I don't know what else I was doing. Just some stuff with some D's and some E's.
You're just doing your practice. You haven't even done your Tom Waits medley yet.
It's copyrighted. I can't do that on YouTube.
Noah is suggesting rubbing the extravagantly decorated Japanese sewer covers, which I think is a nice idea.
Those are brilliant. I love those.
There's also some pretty nice access hole covers in Britain, indicating that water lies beneath. Some of them have got cool designs on them that sort of look like woodcuts. Ready to rub would be a good bumper sticker, Ambrose. Get your crayons out. You can make it happen. What did people do with the grave rubbings and brass rubbings? Did you keep them? Did you put them on display? Martin's looking stupefied at the very thought.
I was just going to say thanks to everyone who enjoyed the music. That was nice.
You're a real talent. It's very good. You're quite good at blending into this wallpaper, which is weird. Look, really.
Look at me, I'm Zach Braff.
Wow.
Anyone see Garden State? No.
Ready to Rub is the re-release of this book for 2023, says Laura. Yes, people are ready. I think people have got back into quite a lot of wholesome hobbies. And so I wouldn't be surprised if brass rubbing was one, because means you get to see different places and you get to rub things with a crayon, which probably has the element of treasure hunt to it, but is not too difficult to do, although probably quite hard on the knees. I don't think she even mentions how you keep your knees warm enough on a cold church floor and from being very uncomfortable.
I sort of picture them getting those little prayer mats and then like taping them to their knees permanently.
Baby, he was born to rub. Well, Alexandra, I'm wondering whether the phone videos will get too ubiquitous, then that's when people get back into the brass rubbing. So there's an element of, taking things a little further than people who've just popped it on video and then gone away. Sarah says, possibly rubbing adjacent. Did anyone else paint fish and use them to make prints? Or was that just my elementary school art? Real fish?
That's really surprising. Potatoes.
Leaves, yes.
Leaves.
Yeah.
I
Because you
think
can
I
paint
fingers.
yeah, fish. Sarah, please deliver us more real fish. Wow, what kind?
Ocean sunfish.
Oh, Margaret's grave rubbings were the basis of a history project in high school. That's interesting. Ambrose bought a rubbing? Oh, a fish print.
Is Rubtok a thing? I think Rubtok has to be a thing.
Oh.
TikTok manages to make things like sea shanties.
We know that RubTube
accessible.
has been a thing for quite some time.
Is it?
Sorry. I'm trying to remember the last time we had a live stream. It's been a bit of a while, hasn't it?
Well, we had COVID.
Well,
that made things a little difficult.
And before that, we were away, and before that, my dad died, and before that, on the same day we moved. So it's been quite a busy couple of months.
When was the last one we did? Like late November?
I think mid-November.
Oh,
I've missed you all. 2 months. Missed all this sun
I had COVID for Christmas 2 years in a row.
Yay! Which meant so did I.
Except you didn't have it last year.
I did have it. It's just all my tests were negative. We know I had it because then I had the phantom smells.
Oh wow, that's true.
It's nice to see you too, Janelle. Let's not part for so long again. And then on Tuesday, Martin and I are leaving this place unless something else happens because the COVID already delayed it. And we are moving to Vancouver, as some of you have suspected earlier on the streams.
I mean, technically, we're moving ourselves to Vancouver.
Yeah.
All of our possessions are still in a storage unit somewhere in Croydon, waiting
Croydon
to go on a ship.
All of our possessions were supposed to get there on the 6th, but they have not moved yet.
They have not yet been collected.
Yeah. Oh, no, you got Christmas COVID too, Swandra. I got it for Christmas and I was still testing positive for New Year's Eve. So I had quite a boring week, but I felt fine. So I'll take that trade of having an interesting time in which I feel bad. I'd rather have a boring time in which I feel fine.
I felt terrible. I was not bored because I was really ill. I had no energy.
A little bit closer to Los Angeles, Kate. Just a day and a half on the train.
Yeah.
Easy. Dan, my boggle sets are somewhere even worse, which is my brother's spare room.
Did you find it?
No. Rosalie made the title
I
card for me.
I wondered if you found it subsequently.
Rosalie, you did a wonderful job.
Rosalie.
Thank you very much. I'm honoured that you would do that for me. What prompted the move, Laura? I mean, that's a chat for a different day. But Brexit was one of the prompts. I mean, it's been going back a while.
I mean, on a more positive note, we've never lived anywhere outside of the UK.
No, not properly. We've travelled a lot, but it's different having a home. At Mayan, the good dumplings are an extreme inducement.
Yes.
Also, we've been invited to a Lunar New Year celebration at a friend's in-laws, and I was psyched about that.
Slightly disappointing number of Sichuan restaurants in Vancouver, but I think it's more of a Cantonese population. So.
Yeah, but it's still going to be good.
Dumplings.
Janelle, I can wait to do the show in Vancouver until after August. That'd be cool. I hope your son has a pleasant move to Seattle. Do love the Pacific Northwest, apart from the big earthquake fault and fires and things. But is it still easy to locate to Canada? Ben, I've not done it before, so I don't know how it compares, but it was certainly easier than getting a visa just to perform in the US, which was very expensive and hard.
And that expired after 3 years.
Chelsea, only a 26-hour drive from Minneapolis.
I mean, you want to go to Minneapolis?
I love Minneapolis.
There's a trio of podcasters who live in Minneapolis called Third Person. They make a really good semi-improvised fiction podcast called Midst. Which, if you like fiction, I'd really recommend you check that out. I would like to be their friend, so I want to go to Minneapolis and befriend them.
The other thing Martin likes in Minnesota is the Spam Museum in Austin.
Spam Museum, Glam Doll Donuts in Minneapolis, very nice donuts. I'm trying not to eat as many sweet cakes.
We went to a very fun bar that has a mini golf course with a lot of plastic horses and stuff.
Went to a tiki bar, got a really nice tiki cup when it comes out of storage. Great city, love it.
Brass rubbing at the Mary Tyler Moore statue. Okay, it's good to have a plan. Keep us busy. Anything else you want me to get a crayon rubbing off? Strictly within people's personal boundaries of being rubbed with a crayon. Want to respect people. Lost a few people on the stream. I wonder if it was too much rubbing chat. Whoa. The epicenter of the earthquake on Thursday night in Seattle was 25 feet from Dan's apartment.
That's impressive. 2.2, what's that like? Is that like, or is it like, because we had a one time when we stayed in Oakland.
Was that 5 point something we had in Oakland? And I think we're a mile away from the epicenter, but we were dog sitting for Delaney Hall of 99% Invisible, and we thought, what would she want us to grab apart from the dog? What do you do to save someone else's possessions if you have to get out of the house before it falls down? Anyway, she doesn't live there now. She lives away from earthquake fault. Anyway, that's a gloomy chat. You've moved from Bellingham. Well, I hope Indiana has got some good times for you instead. Dan did not even notice that earthquake.
Oh.
I remember the first time I felt an earthquake was when I was sitting on our sofa with our then housemate Matthew Crosby after midnight, and Matthew and I both felt the sofa tremble as if a train was passing in a tunnel beneath, and instead it was an earthquake in Manchester.
And I was lying in bed and I was just falling asleep, and I was like, oh, did I just have like a little miniature episode? And then the next day I woke up and Helen was like, no, I think there was an earthquake. I saw it on the news.
Geology had a little episode about it. Yeah, Nancy's like 2.2.
Wake me up when it's a 9.
Yeah. Your dog caused an earthquake, Kate. That's very naughty.
I don't know, haven't earthquakes in Melbourne. I guess you don't really have earthquakes in London, but
not really.
They're pretty gentle.
What's everyone doing the rest of this weekend, please? What are we doing tomorrow? It's our pod club. Where
we've got some podcasts that we've listened to.
Yeah, we've had that going for 8 years now, can you believe? Where we meet up with a little group of friends every few weeks, ideally, and everyone chooses a podcast, and we all have to listen to them and then talk about them.
It's like a book club, but everyone gets to pick one because it doesn't take as long. Well, unless it's certain podcasts, it doesn't take as long to listen to a podcast.
And because of the pre-Christmas COVIDs that we and another member had, it's our Christmas themed one. The theme is red and green.
It's really hard to listen to Christmas podcasts in mid-January.
There's one called, was it yours? It's Tinsel Tunes, which is about, which Christmas song is it about?
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
About MLK Junior Day. That works at any time. Pod Club is fun, Ambrose. I recommend setting one up.
Nice.
Sarah, I think you've earned a day of doing nothing productive, but also I don't think you even need to earn one. You can just have one. Mayanne, I will let you know about the pod rec. My choice, but I don't know how other people are going to respond to it, was Who Shat on the Floor at My Wedding, an investigative podcast. And that fits the theme because of what happens when you mix red and green. Susan, good luck with your thesis. Steve, good luck to your son and his park run.
Oh.
Sarah Rose has got physical therapy. Oh, Sharon's going to throw axes next week. I loved throwing axes, and I'm not
really good
sportive. Yeah, it's weird that I was as good at it as I was. I've only done it once. It was at Jenny Owen Young's birthday. But I'm very bad at things that require like hand-eye coordination.
You're very good at podcast editing. That requires hand-eye coordination and ear.
Oh yeah, ear.
For
sure. But I mean, things that require like
you to throw an axe at a wall. No, you're good at that. It turns out.
Yeah, maybe that's my sport.
You're very nonchalant. I think that's the.
It's a gentle.
There's a video of you doing it on your Instagram from whatever it is, just you and a bit ago.
I don't think I posted that. I think someone else would.
Maybe it was someone else.
Oh no, it's studio visit artwork. Tanjiro, do you think Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen counts as a Christmas song just it's got a religious word in it? I mean, I'm just asking for your theories. You don't have to speak for the radio station. You're not responsible for them. Oh, Chelsea's got a big heavy chat with a friend tonight, and then book club. What's the book? You don't have to tell us what the chat's about, but of course, lots of people are curious. Janelle's got a big rehearsal.
I don't know what the book is.
People have got fun-sounding weekends.
I'm reading a fun book at the moment. It's Jessica Hopper's Night Moves, sort of like short anecdotes from her life in Chicago. It's really fun. She's a music critic. music writer.
Swander is on their 2021 temperature scarf. Swander, I just started on a 2019 advent calendar yarn, like geometric sort of Fair Isle knit project. I'm on day 2. It's been, I don't know how people would do it every day for a month because it's been slow. You can sleep, Wizard. You can sleep in front of the fire. It's January. What else are you finally doing? Ben is recording a guest hosting bit for short horror fiction podcast Pseudopod. Nice. Diane, Mayan, what are you're knitting a duvet cover? Oh, you're mending a duvet cover. Ooh. I mean, procrastinating is great because you feel productive and you can see something growing even though you're just sitting doing that. I am trying to learn how to hold my active yarn with my left hand as well as my right. If there are any tips for doing that successfully, I would be interested to know. Just trying to learn new skills, and just nearly 40 years since I learned knitting the first time. Is it too late for me? Let's hope not. Oh yeah, Podcast Brunch Club is a thing, B, and it looks really fun. I've not been to one, but I really recommend it. There's ones in loads of cities now, and they look like a really nice way to meet fellow pod fans and have a brunch. Yes, Sarah, it's 2-color work, and therefore I thought, so I am doing left hand one color, right hand another color, and that's going okay. But it could go better, I think. It could go better.
The woman in the craft shop in Wolverhampton gave us some interesting Fair Isle advice, didn't she?
She said, don't get one of those special thimbles to run the thread through. She doesn't like them.
Didn't she have some system involving bags?
Bags.
Like rubber bands?
Cycling Tiger says they used to have knitting sticks so you could knit one-handed. And then you could rub brass with the other hand. Yes, Podcast Brunch Club. They've got chapters all over the world. Oh, Virtual Knitting Club. Practice with just the left hand with a swatch. I broke my knitting needle yesterday. It's never happened to me before. It's a wooden one. It snapped. Terrifying. We're almost at the end of our time, although I realise I wasted the first 6 minutes by the sound not working for reasons unknown. But we can return to an illustrated encyclopedia of traditional symbols, if you fancy. How about it? Mark knits in Boston. Outside of Boston, Mark does not knit. Okay. Crossroads mean choice, but also the union of opposites, the meeting place of time and space, a magic but also dangerous place where witches and demons meet. Burials of suicides, vampires, and felons at Crossroads ensured their confusion of ways and prevented their return to haunt the living. Oh, this is rude, for fuck's sake. Sacred to Hecate. Dogs were sacrificed to her at Crossroads. Why? Associated with Ganesha and Janus. Crows. Alchemic. Oh, I don't even understand most of the words in that, and the ones I do understand are not great ones these days, so I'm going to leave that. Does anyone know what convolvulus is? That's a thing. Cord. The life of the individual broken at death. The silver cord holds the soul to the body during incarnation. The golden cord of Zeus is that on which the universe hangs. It is the rope of heaven on which all things depend or are threaded. Plato speaks of the sacred cord of reason. The cord is ambivalent as being both the agent of binding and limitation, and also the possibility of infinite extension and freedom. It can lead man onward or tie him to his destiny. The cord around the waist of a Christian monk binds him to his vocation and symbolizes his commitment to celibacy. See also knots. Corn. Ears or sheaves of corn or wheat are attributes of all corn deities. We know all the corn deities. Greek mysteries and symbolize the fertility of the earth, awakening life, life springing from death, germination and growth through solar power, and abundance. It's a lot for corn to do. The golden ears of corn are the offspring of the marriage of the luminous sun with the virgin earth. The corn goddess is identified with the constellation Virgo. Corn and wine together, like bread and wine, represent the balanced product of man's agricultural labours and provision for life. Corn measures depict fruitfulness, abundance. As funerary, corn signifies abundance in the next world. Forced growths of corn, wheat, or barley were used in many funeral cults and mourning rites, notably Egyptian. See also barley. The growing grain denoted both the revived hero's resurrection and the spring crops. Checking what people are saying. Knitting, bit of corn, noxious weeds. Okay. Any letter requests? Ooh, cow, the great mother, all moon goddesses in their nourishing aspect, the productive power of the earth, plenty, procreation, the maternal instinct. The horns are the crescent moon, and as representing both the moon and the earth goddesses, the cow is celestial and chthonic. Chthonic? Tell me how to pronounce it. Wow. Good for you, cows. Really done well. Okay, Rosalie's asked for R. You got it. Okay. It's long. It's looking for some fun, odd ones. Rains, resin, incorruptibility, immortality. Trees producing resin share the same symbolism as evergreens. Like sap, resin was regarded as the sole substance of the tree. It was also called the tears of the Great Mother, a source of fire, hence generation. Dan has asked for egg. All right, for egg chat. Oh, egg is a really big entry. I might skip some. The cosmic egg, also symbolized by the sphere, is the life principle, the undifferentiated totality, potentiality, never really understood what that means, the germ of all creation, the primordial matriarchal world of chaos. That's my favorite theme park. The great round containing the universe, the hidden origin and mystery of being, cosmic time and space, the primordial parents, the womb, all seminal existence, the perfect state of unified opposites, organic matter in its inert state, resurrection, hope. In Hindu, Egyptian, Chinese, and Greek symbolism, the cosmic egg, as the origin of the universe, suddenly burst asunder. Hitherto a whole, it had yet contained everything existing and potential in the limited space of the shell. The egg, as the origin of the world, is found in Egypt, Phoenicia, India, China, Japan, Greece, Central America, Fiji, and Finland. The golden egg is the sun. The serpent encircling the egg is Ouroboros. An ostrich egg or large porcelain egg suspended in temples, Coptic churches, and mosques depicts creation, life, and resurrection, and as such is often found on tombs. In Christianity, it can signify the virgin birth, so can everything. Always just retrofitting things to that. Hey, we came back to rotundity. And Poirot's head. Oh my god, it's like we planned all of this. Wow, there's a lot of interesting egg symbolism for sure. Brahma sprang from the golden egg of creation, and the two halves formed heaven and earth. It's pretty big. Okay, any last requests from the book, or should we leave it at the egg shape because of the beautiful synergy of that? Seamless ropes, sea urchins, seeds, seraphim. I'm just going to look at what the last thing is in the whole book, just in case it's something. Oh, zodiac. That's not unexpected. Well, my beautiful rotund friends in body and or soul, I've had a very lovely rotund time with you all. I mean, I always have a rotund time, really, just existing in myself, but I've had a spiritually rotund time to be back with you all. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Martin, for the piano and the chit chat. And yeah, thank you for the birthday wishes. You're very kind. Please post pictures of your knits and things. And good luck with all the extreme weather we're all having. Yeah, let's meet at the Vancouver Rotunda for the next birthday. And hopefully we'll live stream again in a couple of weeks. I shall keep you posted. And if you are not in the Allusionverse and you want to come to more live streams, you can. Just do the Patreonage. Thank you, Harriet, very much. Thank you for the relocation wishes, Alexandra. And thank you all. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, everyone. Night night, or day if it's daytime where you are.